If you follow us on Facebook, then you probably know we've been posting over there some of the photos we've taken since we've arrived to Italy. The very first photo was of Steph on the train near the end of our journey, one shoe on, one shoe off, with all the luggage stacked next to her. Both cats in their carrier still. We were about 30 hours into the journey, and she was biting into her first panini. I don't know if it was a panini. I'm still learning all of the different foods here in the displays, the sandwiches and the sweets, but it was definitely her first bite of bread. And it's a very unflattering photo, but a good number of you saw that, and I wanna thank each and every one of you for commenting and liking and following us on Facebook. If you're not following us on Facebook, but you're watching this, there's a link below, or you can just go to facebook.com/HallyuBack. Anyways, you guys, here we are in Italy. We're here, this is it. Right now, Steph is sleeping. It's about 8:30 a.m. She's upstairs in the house. I'm downstairs in the studio. This is where I've been using my computer. And so far, so good. The weather in Italy has been amazing. October in Italy, at least in this area where we are, is t-shirt weather. From about 12 noon until dinner time, you can take your jacket off. It's been mostly sunny, except for the first few days when we arrived when it was raining. But once the rain stopped, it's in the 70s, which I think is like 20, 21, 22 Celsius or even higher than that. Anyways, we've been loving it. There's been lots of vloggable moments. I mean, it's all very vloggable, but we're doing what comes natural to us, which means we're putting the camera down, we're taking our time as we go. I gotta say, people here generally are in a really good mood. It's encouraging. You see people who are generally in the middle of momentum in their life and they've figured out what they're doing and why they're doing it. There's grumpy people here too, but the happy people definitely outnumber the grumpy. It really, really does feel different from where we were. So anyway, I'm encouraged, but I feel like I wouldn't be enjoying it as much if we were going around with a camera. So we haven't been. We just crossed the first full month of being here, and it feels special. In a way, it very much feels like when I first moved to Korea. There's definitely similarities and definitely differences. When Stephanie and I moved to Korea, we didn't know each other. So any of the challenges that we faced in those first moments, we did them alone. And here we're doing everything together, or at least we're together and we're working out the problems together. It's amazing in Italy. I mean, we're really loving it overall, but it isn't like we're just having an easy time. There are a lot of challenges moving to a new country. I'm definitely feeling the pressure of getting the things done that I need to. Like, for instance, once we arrived, you have a short amount of time, a small window to get all your paperwork together and establish your residency. And y'all, it's not easy. It wasn't easy at all. I remember Korea being so much easier. I was sponsored from the university, so the university prepared all my paperwork, and all I did was take the paperwork and go over to immigration and pull the ticket and wait for them to call my number, and then walk up to the window and submit all my paperwork and stand there and wait like you're at a bank or something like that. And they approve you, and then you have your Visa card. I don't know if it comes in the mail, I can't remember, but I remember it being really easy, and the hard part was waiting several hours in the waiting room for them to call your number. In comparison, the residency in Italy is nothing like that at all. One, we don't have jobs here, so we are responsible for our own paperwork. Two, we just couldn't get it right in the beginning. They tell you to get the packets, fill them out, get all the paperwork together, compile it, organize it, have everything ready, and go back to the post office and submit it. Well, when we went to the post office, the lady was like, "Oh no, this is all wrong. You didn't fill this out correctly. Please go fill it out correctly and then bring it back to me." So we went and sat down at the post office after that and re-looked at everything and filled in the parts that we thought we needed to fill in that we hadn't. Put everything back together. About 45 minutes later, after everybody else had gone up, we went back up to her and she still denied us. And then, of course, she's explaining everything in Italian. Fine, my Italian is okay. Like, I've been learning Italian for about 2 years, so I can get by, but when there's specific detailed information like, oh, you didn't fill this out right, or oh, you have to do it this way and not that way, sometimes even if it's one word I can't understand, that's the word I really need. So we got denied twice, and she told us to make an appointment at an office called the Enoch. I had no idea what the Enoch was. In fact, Enoch doesn't even sound right to me. Luckily, we have a real estate agent here who's very helpful. She speaks English and Italian. Even though she has no real responsibility to help us, has been guiding us, or at least in those first few weeks, she was explaining things that really the university in Korea would have done for me. And so I found out that the Enoch is the local union. They help people with applications for different things that need to be submitted to government agencies. And so several days later, we went to the Enoch's appointment, and a gentleman there was really, really kind. The thing was, when we had our Enoch appointment, we were second to last day to submit our residency, because on the first few days after we arrived, I slept 18 hours and I couldn't get out of bed. So anyways, the Enoch told us, oh yeah, by the way, in this area where we live, the post office lady is trouble for everyone, not just you guys. And it's a big problem for us. So why don't you go to this other post office to submit the residency paperwork, and you should be fine. Post offices here are open from 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. or it says 1:35 on the website. Unless of course you're in a super big city and then the post office is closed for lunch and open back up in the afternoons or evenings. But I think what's happened is some of the post offices have reduced their hours because of COVID and just kept the reduction. I'm not actually sure, but the post offices where we're located all close about 1:35, and so you gotta get there in the morning or you gotta wait until the next day. So we go to this other post office upon the recommendation from the Enoch. We get there at about 12:30, and the man at the post office, the worker, says, yeah, sorry, we don't accept residency papers here. You have to go to this other post office, which is the one that we wanted to avoid, and we got denied from twice. Now, we don't have a car, so we have to take the bus. We take the bus back. We get to that post office at like 1:15 in the afternoon. And we're thinking, great, 1:35 they close. We get in there. We got 20 minutes left. No problem, right? Wrong. She's working with one other customer, and when that customer leaves, she sees us and recognizes us. Even before we pull out our paperwork and show her what we need, she sees us from across the room and goes, oh yeah, by the way, you gotta come back tomorrow. And what's crazy about this scenario is I told Stephanie when the other customer was up there that she has to help us. And I felt like she was going to recognize us before we got up there, which she did because I kept our paperwork in my backpack. So when it was our turn, she didn't even see our paperwork because they come in these really special envelopes, the residency paperwork. Anyways, I lost it. I started crying. I couldn't believe that she told us to come back the next day, which would have been our last day. Because as Stephanie's over 7 months pregnant at this point, it's kind of hard to get around. So it was really difficult for us to get to the post office in the first place. And while I was crying, I think the lady had mercy on us and just started processing Stephanie. And thank God she did, because we haven't been back to that post office since, but we got our residency paperwork processed, we got our appointments, we paid all our fees. It's hundreds and hundreds of dollars per person. I mean, it's really, really challenging, especially when the lady's like, no, 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 you're doing it wrong, come back tomorrow. All of these things are like, they're not done purposely towards us personally, but it feels very discouraging. It's easy to lose faith and lose your positive attitude when one person is the gatekeeper of it all. Like, I just wanted to go to a different post office and just get somebody else. In fact, when I went there the very first time, there was a young person, a second employee who was working at another window. He was the one who gave me the kit, the envelope with the residency paperwork. He wasn't there when we had to submit it, or I'm sure he would have been much nicer. I feel like sometimes the older they are, the grumpier. But that's not the case for everybody, because so many people have been friendly and we've run across so many wonderful people. So that lady at the post office who's sort of a witch is in the minority, and that was a tough experience. We got our paperwork processed because it's got to be sent to Rome, and when we walked out of the post office that day, Stephanie started crying. I mean, it was really, really challenging when it should have just been rudimentary. So anyways, we have what is considered temporary residency status at the moment. We have paperwork that is essentially a receipt that we submitted our residency application, and we still have an interview that we must attend within the 3-month period of the temporary residency status. I mean, I don't even actually know what they consider it, but we have officially established our residency application, and I carry around a receipt that shows that we have that status. Once you have that receipt, you can apply for the National Health Insurance, which we have also successfully done, but that is for another video. Because if you thought the residency was hard, getting the National Health Insurance was not straightforward either and was sort of an ordeal. But anyways, when you compare my experience and memory of establishing residency or getting my visa in Korea versus the process here, or at least what the experience was, night and day. Korea is very streamlined, and here it's also streamlined in their own way, but I don't think it's meant to be easy. And when I really look at it from outside of myself, I realize that the lady at the post office and post office workers in general here have a very hard job. I've been to the post office 4 or 5 times now in several different locations because of specifically the residency. The first day that we went to apply for the residency with our applications was also the first day that the post office was open in October. In the beginning of the month is when everyone who doesn't have automatic direct deposit for their pensions goes to collect their pension directly from the post office, which is not how it works in the United States or in other places at all. Pensions and Social Security are automatically deposited, or checks are sent to people's houses if they don't have direct deposit. And here, there's plenty of people who are like, F that, I'm going to the post office every month to collect my pension in cash, in person. And so the lady at the post office is responsible for not only sending out packages everywhere all over the world for people who want to send stuff, but she has to disperse thousands and thousands of euros per person to all the people, all of the senior citizens who are collecting their Social Security, or what's considered Social Security in Italy, the pension. I was watching her count out money while we were waiting to go up and have our number called, and it didn't look strange, but at first I didn't realize what she was doing, and then I put it all together and thought, man, there's a lot of pressure on her, because that's the job of a banker. She controls everybody's livelihood who is past their prime and relies on government assistance. And so that's probably why she's not in a great mood. Comments down below. What are you saying about this video? Are you interested in seeing more? Comments. I was thinking about it earlier as I was making the coffee. I never ever set out to be a YouTuber. All I personally ever really wanted was to make videos that people watched. This is a fact. This is a truth about me. This isn't necessarily exactly what I set out to do when I set out to make professional video in the very, very beginning, which by the way was when we lived in Korea. But in the very beginning, it didn't look anything like this, and it wasn't necessarily in my mind supposed to be about my life or about our lives, and somewhere along the way, life just happens. So here we are, this is going on YouTube. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I mean, I think it's really cool that, I haven't moved the camera at all, I haven't shown you anything, but we are still willing and able and would like to share what's going on here. Steph is about to pop and I'm about to become a dad. Arriving to Italy and finally getting all of that residency stuff and national health insurance stuff out of the way. Steph's had several doctor's appointments. More things have happened also. A lot is happening, a lot. Every day is a crazy, crazy experience, it feels like. But the last few weeks, I'm finally starting to settle in, even though our shipping container hasn't arrived and we don't have furniture yet, other than a bed and a kitchen table. We spent the summer pregnant, living with my mother, and I love her to death, but we were sharing a house. And so finally we have our own place again. And I've had time, a little bit of time, to realize and foresee and envision what I feel like it's going to be like to be a dad finally, and before she gives birth. So I'm really anticipating that, and I'm really, really excited to be a dad. Oh, I didn't plan on crying. These last couple of years have been so difficult that I'm really emotional a lot. So yeah, anyways, I never planned on making videos about my life, but here we are. So comments if you'd like to see more, comments if you appreciate it. Let me know what's going on, let us know. We love you guys. We'll see you in the next video. We'll keep them coming, I promise. I love you. That's it, I'm out of here. Hasta luego. That's what it looks like. Show you more next time.